All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and completely unpack the hidden engineering that makes our wireless audio feel, well, like magic. I mean, have you ever popped a pair of wireless earbuds into your ears and just marveled at how they instantly connect? Or how the music miraculously stops the second you take one out? Today, we're moving way past the marketing hype to understand the actual physical hardware and the complex software that make these everyday little miracles happen.
So, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the silicon and software powering your absolute favorite headphones. We're going to look primarily through the lens of Apple's highly integrated audio ecosystem, sure, but we'll also see how the broader industry tackles these exact same engineering challenges.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll meet the AirPods Max 2, look inside the H series brain, uncover the 2-pin charging secret, control some spatial audio, look at seamless ecosystem switching, and finally, maximize our battery lifespan. Let's get to it. Section 1. Meet AirPods Max 2, the new standard in wireless cans. Let's start with the real catalyst for today's exploration, the newly announced update to Apple's premium over-ear headphones. Now, they've honestly been lagging behind the in-ear models for a little while, but that has officially changed. The integration of the H2 chip here, it's a total game changer. It unlocks an entirely new roster of intelligent, professional-grade features. Thanks to this new silicon, the active noise cancellation is now up to 1.5 times more effective. But for the audiophiles and the pros out there, the biggest leap is absolutely the support for 24-bit, 48 kilohertz lossless audio over a USB-C connection. Apple even notes that musicians can now use these throughout their entire Logic Pro workflow, which is huge. We're also seeing the introduction of awesome features like live translation powered by Apple Intelligence, voice isolation for crystal clear calls, and the ability to interact with Siri literally just by nodding or shaking your head. It's a massive leap forward.
Moving right along to Section 2, inside the H series brain, the silicon powering the sound. Okay, let's shift our focus to the actual brains making all of this possible. What is actually going on inside those ear cups? The leap in computational audio from the original H1 chip to the new H2 chip is honestly massive. Now, the original H1 chip was no slouch, right? It handled Bluetooth 5.0, powered basic active noise cancellation, and drastically reduced latency. But it was limited to the AAC codec. The H2 chip, which we just talked about in the AirPods Max 2, moves way beyond basic noise cancellation into dynamic environment blending. It actively listens to your surroundings to give you an adaptive transparency mode that cuts down on harsh, sudden background sounds, like a siren, while still letting voices through perfectly. It's a highly specialized piece of silicon combining a Bluetooth modem, a digital signal processor for audio, and coprocessors for sensor data.
But a really crucial point here is that Apple is definitely not the only player in this highly competitive space. If you step outside the Apple ecosystem for a second, you'll find an entire world of specialized audio SoCs, or system on a chips. Qualcomm's QCC and CSR series are major players here, offering features like hybrid ANC and supporting high-resolution codecs like aptX and LDAC. These give Android users superior, minimally compressed audio. MediaTek is another absolute heavy hitter. Actually, their MT2822 chip powers the incredibly popular Sony WF-1000XM4 earbuds, which allows Sony to layer their own custom noise-canceling algorithms right on top.
Up next, Section 3, the 2-pin charging secret, uncovering some truly hidden engineering. Let's move to a fascinating piece of electrical engineering that happens right inside your charging case, a tiny detail almost all of us overlook every single day. Have you ever stopped to wonder how a simple 2-pin contact at the bottom of your earbuds can push DC power to charge the battery, while simultaneously reporting your exact battery percentage to your phone and triggering those little connection pop-ups? Usually you need separate wires for power and data. So how are they pulling off both over just 2 tiny metal contacts?
Well, the secret lies in something very similar to the USB power delivery standard. It's literally like a secret handshake between the earbud and the case. The system can rapidly switch back and forth between a communication protocol and a charging state. Even more cleverly, they can actually put data and power on the same wire at the exact same time by encoding the data into a 24 megahertz high-frequency signal riding right on top of the DC power. Inside the earbud, a tiny component called a capacitor splits that high-frequency data signal off from the DC power, kind of like a traffic cop, routing the data to the chip and the power straight to the battery. It is an incredibly efficient use of space and a device where every single millimeter counts. All right, Section 4, Controlling Spatial Audio. Mapping the invisible strings.
Let's jump back to the software side and see how this advanced hardware creates an invisible, three-dimensional theater completely around your head. The way you hear sound is entirely unique to the physical shape of your ears and your head. To make a virtual surround sound environment actually believable, the earbuds need to know what your specific ears look like. By using the camera on an iPhone X or later, the system maps your unique physical geometry. This personalized profile is then synced across all your Apple devices running the latest operating systems, ensuring that the spatial audio is perfectly tuned to exactly how you naturally perceive sound. And this all builds up to the ultimate illusion. When you go into your device's control center, you have complete command over this experience. You can turn it off entirely, sure. You can set it to fixed, which gives you a really immersive surround sound mix that stays locked to your head. But the real magic? That happens in head-tracked mode. This actively tracks the physical movement of your head in real time, anchoring the audio source directly to your screen. If you turn your head to the left, the dialogue from the movie you're watching shifts seamlessly to your right ear, keeping the sound permanently tethered to your device. It is wild. Section 5. Seamless Ecosystem Switching. Exploring the ecosystem advantage. Next, we absolutely have to cover the invisible web that allows you to bounce audio effortlessly from your Mac to your watch to your phone without ever touching a Bluetooth pairing button. This feature feels like magic, but the entire auto-switching trick relies fundamentally on security and identity. For this to work, all your playback devices, your iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple Watch must be signed in to the exact same Apple account. And crucially, they must have two-factor authentication enabled. That shared secure identity is the key. It's what gives the devices permission to seamlessly hand off the audio connection entirely behind the scenes. But hey, let's look at control, because sometimes automatic switching can be just a little bit frustrating, right? You are never locked into this automatic routing. For instance, the system smartly prioritizes phone calls. If a call comes in on your iPhone while you're watching a video on your Mac, it automatically jumps the phone. But if you want to stop the auto jumping entirely, you can easily go into your Bluetooth settings and change the connection behavior from automatically to when last connected to this device. Also, there is a brilliant specific setting called Keep Audio with Headphones that completely prevents your podcast from awkwardly hijacking your car speakers the second you start the engine. You have total control over the handoff. Finally, Section 6, Maximizing Battery Lifespan, Taking Control of Your Hardware. Let's end on a highly practical note to help you protect the expensive lithium-ion batteries inside these tiny wearables. Because you can't easily swap these batteries out, preserving their health is absolutely paramount. While you can't view a neat little percentage of your overall battery health degradation yet, you can actively prevent it. Following these super quick steps on your connected iPhone ensures your earbuds aren't just sitting at maximum voltage for hours on end, which physically degrades the battery cells. By simply going into your settings, tapping on your AirPods, scrolling down to battery, and toggling on optimized battery charging, you activate a truly brilliant defensive feature. So what does that little toggle actually do? Well, by learning your daily habits, this software tweak significantly reduces battery aging. If it knows you leave for work at 8 a.m. every day, it will charge your earbuds to 80% and just hold them there overnight. It literally pauses the current. Then, it only pushes that final, highly stressful 20% of charge right before you normally pick them up. Keeping the battery away from its absolute maximum voltage for long periods keeps your investment alive much, much longer. We've seen how these specialized chips manage noise, translate languages live, encode high-frequency data over tiny power pins, and map 3D audio to the exact unique shape of your head. These clearly aren't just basic speakers on a wire anymore. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. As this silicon gets even more incredibly advanced, are headphones destined to become our ultimate wearable computers? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.